Hi everyone, welcome back to Dwarf Fortress and the Dwarf Fortress tutorial. I am Sir Tristan, and this episode we're going to cover construction. But before I do that, I want to go over some stuff that's happened in between episodes. The first big thing being I upgraded to Windows 10, which means that unfortunately some stuff is broken, and I'm going to have to learn how to resolve that. Number one being KeyCast no longer works, so you're not going to see the keys that I press as I press them on the screen. For now, I'm going to find an alternative that works with Windows 10. But for this episode, we're not going to have that, so I apologize for that. But I also want to talk about some stuff, like what I basically assigned all these dwarves to do, and some stuff that I've done in the game in between these episodes. So first up, let's just go down. This is all the dwarves that arrived in the most recent migrant wave. Ark, we know he's going to be our mechanism, our mechanics guy, and our architecture guy. Bart, we talked about before, is our fisher. Cecil will be our butcher, our tanner, and our leather worker. Steiner is going to be our wood crafter, our stone crafter, or our bone carver, so our crafting guy. Vivi is going to be our cook, and Cloud and Terra are children. They're children, and they cannot be assigned any jobs just yet. Once they grow up, they will be put to work, but for now, they can relax and have fun. So, I have both Stone Sense and the main game up. Because we're going to talk about constructions are basically building 3D things in Dwarf Fortress out of walls and out of floors and ramps, and so it kind of needs a 3D perspective. So I have Stone Sense up here on the left. I've talked about this in the previous episode. And if you look on the right here, follow my mouse. This right here is the entrance to our fort. And if we go down a step, you can see there's our stairs. And you can look on the left as well. Our stairs are still in our mason's workshop, our carpenter's workshop. So entrance to our fort is right here in Stone Sense on the left. And right here on the right. There's a way to get them to line up perfectly, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. So let's talk about construction. Constructions are kind of like when you think of the wild possibilities of Dwarf Fortress, you think about constructions. With constructions, you can build towering spires, giant underground dwarven statues that are dozens and dozens of layers deep and wide, huge outdoor or underground fortresses with towering rock walls, and construction is how you do all that. Constructions are floors, they're walls, really stairs. They can be built out of almost any material: wood, stone, glass, all kinds of stuff. We have a lot of wood laying around, so I think for starters, I'm going to build just the inner layer out of wood. The reason that I'm doing this now is because, in my opinion, it's never too early to start thinking about defense. It's possible that we might not get anyone aggressively attacking us for a while, but we don't know when that's going to happen exactly. In the latest build of Dwarf Fortress, armies actually have to travel to get to you, and so if they're very close to you, that travel time is very short. Sometimes it's a long way away, and it takes 7 or 8 years for them to get to you, even longer sometimes. I didn't look when we first started because I like being surprised, and sometimes that leads to the downfall of your fort, and if that happens here, so be it. We'll just start again. But construction is the first line of defense. You got things like your military, you got things like traps. We'll get to that. First up is just construction. I want to build, just for this episode, just a very simple kind of inner layer around my stairs, so that if enemies do show up, or kobolds coming to steal children, or coming to steal cattle, or coming to steal like chickens or artifacts that I create, I have some way to funnel them down to one spot. And again, this is where your imagination really just comes into play. So I'm just looking at this, thinking about how can we make this cool. And remember, on the left side is going to be kind of a 3D representation of this thing. I'm going to open the build menu with B. And then the way you get to your construction menu is if you look down about 2/3 of the way, there's wall/floor/stair/track. That's capital C, so hold Shift and hit C. Remember again, you can't see what I'm pressing because KeyCast broke in Windows 10. I'm going to find a replacement, but for now you're just going to have to listen and trust that I'm saying the right thing. So now that we've entered the wall, floor, ramp, track submenu, you can see there's walls, floors, ramps, upstairs, downstairs, up, downstairs, fortifications, track, and track stops. We're going to cover basically walls and floors and maybe ramps in this episode, but things like stairs, up and down stairs, and ramps, you should be super familiar with by now. If we go, I'm going to back up and go into the designations. If you look under designations up here in the upper right, you see upstairs, you see downstairs, you see ramps. We've done all this before, but there's a difference. When you designate, you have to dig in ground that already exists, right? If I go to D, designate, which I'm in the designation menu, and I do an up ramp, R, and I move my cursor over, and I just want to build a ramp right here, right? I press enter. You can see it's highlighted. Press enter. Let's do a square. Nothing happens. Why? Because this is empty space. I can't build a ramp in empty space. Now, if I were to go down a floor, and build a ramp into the side of the wall, look at that. The ramp will get designated to be built because it's building that ramp out of the floor that already exists. Designations do it that way. Construction lets you build it when there's nothing there to begin with. May seem a little confusing, perhaps. I'm just going to do it, and you're just going to see with the visuals on the left why this works. So I'm going to go to B, Shift C, capital C, and then we're going to build some walls. So let's press W, and this is going to want us to place our walls. So again, I'm going to build, if you look at Dwarf Fortress on the right side, Stone Sense isn't going to show up. Nothing's going to show up there, at least for a little while, until the actual stuff gets built. I'm going to build perhaps maybe like a 6x6 kind of entrance around here, or not entrance, wall around here. This will allow my dwarves to kind of enter maybe one or two key places that I decide. That'll make it easier to lay down traps or something like that. You've kind of seen this interface before in the upper right corner when we were building our farm plots, back when we were talking about underground farms. You can change the width and the height of your wall by pressing U and M and K and H. K and H. So if I press K a few times, it will extend. You see all the X's kind of lining up here. And if I press H, it'll shrink down. And if I press U, it will go up, 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 up. And then M will go down, 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 down. Now, in general, in my personal experience, you don't really need two thickness walls. You could perhaps, if you wanted, actually there are some times, like if I wanted to build a area for dwarves to walk along, and I wanted to build like fortifications for them to hide behind, I would need two thickness walls instead of just one. That would be one example. There are multiple examples. I don't know if you'd ever want to do something like this, like a huge just chunk of wall. I've never come across that in my personal experience, but maybe you could think of something. So for now, I'm going to stick with one thickness, and let's see. Again, I have to be really symmetrical, so let's see. I'm going to line it up on the stairs, go out to, let's go out one more perhaps, and then let's see, if I do that, that will be 2. I think this should work. Yes, this will work. Excellent. Okay, so I've just built this. Let's count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not built, sorry. I've just lined up 8 spots. I'm going to press enter, and then it's going to ask me what materials I want to use. This is exactly like building anything else, any workshop. You know, you pick what you want it to be made out of. In this view, however, you pick each individual one. So let's say first I wanted hazelwood, and then I wanted bayberry, and then I wanted to go back to hazelwood, and then back to bayberry. And then I want to throw in chert every once in a while. You can be super specific on how you want your wall to be built. Now for me, I just see we have a ton of hazelwood logs, so I'm just going to press enter 8 times. And you can see that number up here in the upper right is counting down. And then you can see here, this line has been filled in. And then over in Stone Sense as well, this purple line has been filled in. I've actually made a mistake here earlier. I accidentally started a wall. Let me get rid of that real fast. Oops. Nope, that's actually not the right way to do that. BC. Well, I'm gonna have to. There we go, and remove. Okay, I'll show you how to do that in just a second. I didn't want to get ahead of myself and start teaching you things in weird orders. So because every dwarf has the construction and deconstruction, remember in Dwarf Therapist, which I will open real fast, on the far right, you can see construction, this column here. All of them are purple. They've all got the construction. There we go. Man, this chiptune is awesome in the background. It's just perfect music. Alright, anyway, because every dwarf has construction, they should all help out to do this. Let's press Q to look at these individual structures. Hang on. There we go. And you can see, just like looking at any other building, I can press Q, and you can see this needs wall/floor construction. This one does too. All of these need wall/floor construction. Because there's all turned on, every dwarf should be able to come and build part of this wall. Let's unpause, and we should start to see them come out. There you go. They're grabbing logs, and they're building the wall. There you go. The wall's already built. Kind of hard to see, unfortunately, in Stone Sense. Let's try to even this up. Press F. Oops. Nope. There we go. So there you go. You can see that wall has been built. Let's do the same thing now. B, Shift C, and then W for wall. And then I'm going to build one above as well, or to the north of, I guess, as well. Press K. We will line it up correctly. Okay, good. We'll just make it Hazelwood again. There we go. It's been designated. And in a moment, once I unpause, they should run out and build these walls. Now, look at the bottom. If you just saw that, I'm going to press A to see my announcements. Remember, A is something I talked about a long time ago. Haven't used it much, but press A, and you can see the dwarves have suspended construction of the wall. Vivi cancels construction item blocking site. This happens all the time when constructing walls. Usually walls in straight lines. What happened probably was, I'm going to try to move this cursor here. There you go. You see this kind of grayed out circle that's not completed? Chances are, when Vivi tried to bring a piece of wood to this location to build that wall, a dwarf was already standing there in that spot, building this section to the right or to the left. Happens all the time. You can get around this just by building one segment at a time, but that takes forever and is kind of lame. So you're just gonna have to basically fix these holes that get left. The way that you do that is the same way as you remove. You press Q, and it's going to show you. I'm gonna move the cursor over here. Construction suspended. Just like when looking at a building, you hit Q, to kind of see what the status is or what you can build. You press Q to look at a wall or a construction object that's not been finished yet. And we'll press S to resume. It says suspend down at the bottom, but it's to resume. You toggle it with S, as you can see. I'm pressing S, you just have to trust me. It's inactive, so when we unpause again, someone should run out and finish this. There we go, and it's been built. Let's go ahead and finish up these walls. I'm going to press B and then Shift C again. Wall, and we're actually going to go up and down this time. But I don't think I actually want to block off the entire section. I want a way for the dwarves to get in and out. So let's go back a few with H. Oops. Sorry, with... Oh, yeah, I pressed the wrong button. With... Oh my goodness. I promise I know how to do this. With M. There we go. With M. I just had my finger on the wrong trigger the whole time. So I think what I want to do is I want to build 2 walls here, and 2 here. So let's do that. for wall. Make it one segment longer. Here. Same thing. We'll build a wall. Make it 2 segments in length. Place it on the other side. Make it out of hazelnut. Same thing. A wall. 2 segments long. Make it out of hazelnut. Now we have 4 little segments done. We can unpause. And dwarves should run out to kind of finish up our inner layer. Cool, there you go. Now you can see on the left and to the right, what they look like don't quite line up perfectly. On the right, we kind of have this kind of curved edge. And on Stone Sense, we just kind of have this kind of straight, kind of jagged edge. They mean the same thing. This corner, this edge here is just a different graphic to represent a corner. Really, it's just, there's no like half square right here where my mouse cursor is. So don't be fooled, it's still taking up a full block. So there's that. What we can also do now is I'm going to, in the corner of each one of these, I'm going to go B, Shift C, and I'm going to build an upstairs with U. We'll build one in each corner. Let's, this time, make these out of chert. Just to add some difference, just to add some maybe color variety. Build a U and upstairs, and remember, these are being built out of nothing, where if I wanted to build an upstairs before or downstairs, I'd have to do it inside dirt or inside rock. I would need to carve it out of that rock using designations. Here, I can do it out of existing materials, almost out of thin air. Really, not out of thin air, but in thin air, I guess I should say. Another one out of chert. We'll build another upstairs out of chert. And then one last upstairs. U out of chert. Enter and enter. So we'll let these ramps go. I think they're gonna have to run off to find chert, perhaps. Oh no, I bet that's Bart's down here. He's fishing. I bet. Yep, sure enough, he's fishing. Cool. Keep it up, Bart. You're doing good. All right, I've built my ramps or my stairs, and you can see in Stone Sense there they are. Now I'm going to go up a floor, and look at that. You can actually see there's now this kind of floor that dwarves could stand on. I'm going to now add additional floors. I have to stay up this level. If I tried to build a floor here, it would not be able to do it because there's technically floor everywhere still. It's just grass, right? But here we can come up here and we can do B, Shift C, and add a floor. And we can stretch it out. Okay, hang on. No access? How is that no access? I don't think that's true, game. Okay, hang on. I promise this works. Build floor. No access to 2 building material non-economic items. Well, yeah, they're the floor down. Oops. Go about this a different way. Press K. We're going to look at this right here. Look at that, a hazelwood log floor. This is clearly a floor. Oh, you know why? I've put the cart before the horse. I have upstairs, but no corresponding downstairs. I warned you about this a long time ago in the designations tutorial, and I've forgotten my own advice. So there you go. In Dwarf Fortress, it's never too late to forget everything you know. We're going to do B, contemplative build, we're going to go to C, and we're going to build a downstairs D. And now we should be able to place those over the stairs. Haha! We're going to build ourselves some church stairs. D. Down here. Church. D. Here. Church. Oops. D. So over each upstairs, I have to build the corresponding downstairs. That's too important to forget. You always need that. Underground, above ground. Now we should see some dwarves run up here to do this. There we go. Yeah, look at that. Nice. Perfect. We have mastered going up to different sea levels. Alright, I know that, by the way, stone sense on the left is not mimicking perfectly on the right. Don't worry about it. Just follow on the right. On the left, you'll see it. So now we should be able, now that we have access, we should be able to build those floors. Let's go B for build, C for the construction menu, F for floor. And now, if we line it up, we should be able to close these gaps. Yes. We're going to do hazelnut here. Same thing, floor. Make it too long. There we go. And dwarves should now have access to this kind of higher floor. And they should be able to climb upstairs. There you go. It's a thing of beauty. Love it. Okay, we got single layer view. I need multiple layer view. Nope, that was the wrong button. I want to try to show you guys this kind of higher floor. Did I rotate that on accident? I probably did. There we go. Alright, there we go. Now you can see in stone sense, there's this kind of walkway for dwarves to get in and out, but there's also now this upper ramp, this upper area. Now if I wanted to, I could place crossbow dwarves up there to kind of fire down on invading enemies. I could place like traps to kind of fall off the edge. I think there's like burning oil you could do, all kinds of stuff. You could place like water pumps up here and pump in water from the ocean and pour it down on invaders as they tried to sneak, you know, through this little entryway here. A lot of cool stuff. A lot of cool stuff you can do. I'm already at 22 minutes, but that's just the bare slightest edge of crazy things you can do with constructions. You could build towers that are 20 stories tall that you can take goblins up and throw them off and watch them splatter to the ground below. You can build giant cathedrals with huge crosses and all kinds of amazing, cool kind of gothic-y things, statues and everything's on the bell towers and all kinds of cool stuff. Just scratching the surface here, but at least you have an idea now of how this can work. Use your imagination. You can go wild with stuff like this. Constructions can kind of, one last thing is constructions can kind of break the laws of physics, kind of like the rest of Dwarf Fortress. You don't really need, you do need supports correctly, but you can use a lot more space than you would think is necessary. Like one support can hold a good amount. You just have to play with it to know exactly, but it's not like real life where like kind of each corner needs like a strut, you know, or like a triangle shaped junction or something. You know, you can play with it, but just be aware that you can have collapses. You absolutely 100% can have collapses, but it's not super easy to do, right? But it is fun when it happens because you get to see the chaos and the poor dwarves running around without limbs and stuff. So anyway, that was a brief introduction to construction. I might do a part 2 and just kind of further talk about some of this. We'll see, depending on desire, I guess, of you guys. If you want to see me kind of start some big, cooler construction projects, we'll get to that pretty soon. There's a lot of defense stuff that I want to get out of the way in the next few episodes. But that's going to do it for now. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.